Tim Walz, who was on MSNBC, was it last night?
He was, yeah. And I really think he's being very smart right now. He is staking out the left flank position fairly early on. I mean, he's talking about single payer on Molly Jong-Fast's show. And it seems like now that Peggy Flanagan is his lieutenant governor, is likely to kind of be the front runner in that open Senate seat, that because I thought he might run for that. But I think he wants to run for president. And talking about universal health care this early on, big thumbs up in my book. Of course, we were already fans of his record in Minnesota. And then also the fact that Ken Martin is now DNC chair. It's interesting. I mean, they work together to good effect in Minnesota to make people's lives better. And if there's some coordination there, I think Walz may have advantages that I may have underestimated, in addition to the fact that he's just a good politician. And so much of what he said here about how Democrats should fight back against Trump is the exact stuff that we've been saying on the show.
We should also say there's a huge leadership vacuum.
Right. And he's filling that, thankfully. So I really appreciate a lot of what he had to say last night on MSNBC.
Appreciate that, and shout out to Montana. I've been out there hiking. Great trails, great people. When you look at what we're seeing now, you have the world's richest person, a multi-billionaire many times over, being cheered on by workers and some working class people on the center right and in MAGA, while, as you just referenced, he fires people and takes away jobs. Where does that response fit in for your party tonight?
Yeah, well, it troubles me. You know, I made the case on this that I come out of the working class, and I thought it was a flex that I was the least wealthy person to ever run for vice president, and they side with the guy who wants to cut your mom's Social Security benefits. This goes back to our job is our policies are popular. Social Security is popular. Paid family and medical leave is popular. The Consumer Protection Financial Bureau that Senator Warren talked about is popular so you don't get ripped off. Why are they siding with this guy that is blatantly trying to get himself involved in this? A guy who's lived on government contracts, someone who's given no service to this country, only to himself. We have got to get back to earning the trust, and I think it starts with going in and talking to these folks. Go wherever you can, but then making sure when we have the power to do something, pass some damn laws to improve people's lives. Don't worry about the next election. If we can pass it all the first year, I said that as governor. If I can get everything passed, why would I come back again? You can get it done. And I think we have made a mistake on that. And I just have to tell you, Ari, I disagree with this idea that, look, Republicans are digging a hole, Democrats should back off and just let them dig. That's what we've done, and we've ceded space to them. I say jump in the hole and help them dig, because I'll tell people, I want to go out to these districts and tell them this is what your member of Congress is voting for. They are undermining you. Bernie Sanders is right. Quit trying to talk about Social Security other than just lift the cap and let everybody pay what they should. That fixes it. It's simple. The idea that Elon Musk doesn't pay any more than a teacher is simply outrageous. How can it be that Donald Trump pays less taxes than folks who are working at schools or hospitals? And we as Democrats need to be more aggressive about it, because tonight will be nothing but reality TV, because that's what this is to this guy. I was on a farm this afternoon. I don't know how many of those farmers voted for me. Probably not many. That's the way it goes. But they agreed with me on this. This is stupid. Donald Trump negotiated a trade deal. Now he's trying to go back on it with our trusted allies. And I don't blame Canada for this, but I'm nervous about it. When the Premier of Ontario says that they're going to cut off electricity to us, that's a problem. Do I hear Donald Trump saying a damn thing? No. Do I hear him say anything about the wildfires down in South Carolina? No. When we have these things, he just wants to attack California or attack his political opponents. This is not leadership. The American people know it, and those folks in that room, I can see it in their eyes. They are terrified to go back and talk to their constituents. It took them 6 weeks to screw the economy up.
I liked it.
Yep.
I like it. I like what he's saying. I think he's being strategic, too. I think he's saying a lot of things where he knows that there is a vacuum with Bernie Sanders not run. I mean, he's not going to run again, even though, by the way, all those concerns about his age and his health, who knows what toll the presidency would take on him, but looking a lot more sprightly than one Joe Biden right now. But I think there's no one of the besides AOC, who is the Democrat who is leading the way on these issues? And Walz seems to be like, hey, at the very least, I'll message on this and I'll go to red districts.
Out there, nobody's stopping them. Go to those red districts.
Like, there's been a rollback of some of these tariffs now. Of course, you have Lutnick like, oh, just joking. By the way, we're really showing strength here where within 24 hours, our policies change.
I increasingly...
Yes.
The explanation for what's going on, whether it's the announcement about the crypto reserves or the tariffs, this is, if you, I mean, it's so reductive, but it answers almost every question. If you look at like what the mob does, if you look at what criminals and mafia does, what they do in boiler rooms with pump and dumps, Donald Trump is doing, and Elon Musk, for that matter, is doing, and they're all doing, whatever they can that allows them to extract as much value as possible. So, you know, like, it's almost impossible for us to sit here and think, like, wait, would the president of the United States really be talking about tariffs just as a way so that he had, like, the ability to
tank the stock market,
to manipulate the stock market, or to know which industries are going to do well and invest in those and buy those and get kickbacks? Like, would he really do that? And the answer is, of course he would.
Especially when he has no constituency to answer to. If he really thinks, whether it's the most extreme example of this, that he's going to mess with elections, and he's tweeting out photos of him looking like a king. And last night he talked about how he does
have a constituency. Do you remember?
The billionaire.
Remember after the exactly.
But you know what point I'm saying. Like, I'm basically saying that if he doesn't have to worry about the democratic process again.
He doesn't have to worry about votes.
Yeah. My point is there's two options there. Either he's not running again, which he's not supposed to be legally allowed to do, or the fact that he thinks that he maybe has this divine mandate. That's what he was saying last night. He said he was saved by God to save America and make America great again. You think that he's like thinking about how the voters are responding? He's trying to get rich as fast as possible, and then we'll see about the democracy.
I got about 18 more months.
Yeah.
Just gonna have a fat wallet. Now, if I win again, oh my! If we keep Congress, I'm gonna be so rich.
And you notice how Ivanka was not there, and Jared, they kind of cut bait after the end of the last term because he was such a disgrace after trying to overturn the results of the election. They were front and center last night because it's time to get rich again. It's time to get rich again. It's time to get another multi-billion-dollar investment from the Saudis like Kushner got at one of his properties. Here we go, folks. Grab bag presidency. So, but I think you're right. Like, there's something going on where they're manipulating. It's a series of little shocks, like the shock doctrine. Even if this market tanks for a little bit, that may still depreciate assets where they can buy it on the day in bulk, his buddies at some VC firm or whatever. And then what do you know? They lift them. Lutnick says, we may not do that. Oh, wow, look, those assets that were just bought for cheap are really valuable again.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing it with crypto.
Calling from a 202 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hey, is this me?
Yes.
Thank you. Hey, am I crew? This is leftist big pharma plug. I really appreciate how you tend to read my name, and I get worried that you're getting too close to a different type of plug, so I just want to enunciate this time.
Okay, leftist big pharma plug. It still reads the same way, just so you know, but go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So I've called it in the past to explain a couple of things from the pharma side of regulatory policy right now. I wanted to highlight two topics. I've been putting them in the chat lately, and as a disclaimer, I'm not speaking on behalf of my employer, hence the anonymity. But there are two things that are happening right now at the government level. One of them is that at FDA, they have taken down guidances over the past month. Guidance documents are used to inform either patients, patient groups, manufacturers, industry, et cetera, of how to conduct clinical trials. A couple of the guidances that were taken down and now replaced were the diversity action plan guidance and a guidance that FDA published in January that was not expected about sex differences in clinical trials. It looks like they were taken down in order to take out the word gender and to make it very clear that like sex and gender are not topics to be discussed in scientific settings in a way that would conflate the relevance of gender versus sex. If you go on FDA's websites for all of these, there are disclaimers all over the place, but particularly on the health resources page. That used to be the Office of Minority Health and Health Equity. That page has a big disclaimer on it with a horrifically disgusting statement on it explaining why these changes were made. And it's a statement that's made in protest to the court injunction that exists that's making FDA put the guidances back up right now. This is obviously not representative of a past FDA. This is clearly due to the executive orders. And one last thing to highlight on that is that the MedWatch forms, those are forms that are used to track things like adverse reactions that patients have. I know we used to talk about VAERS all the time, which was for vaccine reporting. There's also FAERS. These forms used to have gender listed on them, in addition to sex. They have been replaced and now only have sex on them. And this is a big issue for obviously patients, especially non-binary and trans patients, but it also takes 10 steps back for patient safety, because you could be a patient who's on any medication, whether it's on the market or in a clinical study, and if you can't identify yourself accurately, it creates confounding and inexplicable potential trends for adverse events that would be better explained with more context about who a person is and what their lifestyle is and what medication they may be taking at the same time.
Right.
HRT, for example. So I wanted to flag that because people should at least be aware and be vigilant about, putting that into your advocacy statements, that science is kept as what science has been and what it was supposed to be doing going forward, and to try to help prevent the capitulation to all of this really just horrifying anti-science legislation and executive orders that are coming. And I also wanted to just thank you all very much for bringing up the student loan repayment issue. I know I had been spamming it a few days ago.
I appreciate that, and we're trying to find somebody who can come on and tell us exactly what's going on, because like I think I said yesterday or the day before, like I'm reading, there's like 3 or 4 different court cases that have the thing going, in 3 or 4 different programs. They're in different stages of being frozen or undermined. And I'm having trouble, frankly, like figuring it out.
It's the pay, repay, save, and then there's one more program that have all been blocked. Pay is one I'm on, and the 2 things that I know that are happening with that is that that was an Obama executive order, so was repay. So Trump is undoing that one, and Biden's SAVE program, which is the one that we kind of all anticipated, but we didn't really talk about the Obama ones going too.
Yep.
They were not they were not law. And for me, because Biden also had the COVID relief policy in place, it was auto recertifying people into those programs. So my recertification happens to be right now, and my rate was going to jump up because my salary has increased, thank goodness, over the last few years. That said, I'm going to go from paying like $203 a month to potentially $3,400 a month because of the injunction which will put me on a standard repayment plan instead of an income-driven repayment plan, because my loans are $316,000 for an advanced medical degree. So I wanted to bring that to people's attention because I only found it by accident going on the studentaid.gov site. I was looking for a tax form and happened to see this random recertification email. I didn't know anything about it, and I'm really worried other people won't know because it will auto recertify. Well, it'll auto default you off of your income-driven repayment plan.
So you got to go.
With the court injunction, you can't reapply.
Do it, right? You got to go manually do it. I see. Oh, that's
But the
helpful.
block is stopping us from recertifying, so I can't right now. That's what people need to know. In addition to that.
So if
I would appreciate any
anybody, yeah, okay, all right. Well, we'll get somebody. I know, like maybe Astor Taylor or someone from the Debt Collective or somebody. I mean, but if you are one of those people who's the term of your loan, we're in that period of time where it should be recertified. It's not going to happen in an auto fashion, and because of the block right now, everything is frozen. Gosh, I'm so sorry.
Yep.
Horrible.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I don't say it for sympathy. I said it in the Discord. I just want other people to know. And so the more it can be said, because no one's talking about it. I have found one article about it in the last week.
Yeah,
I am vexed by this.
I understand because after your IM, I started to look, and like I say, you can get sort of the broad stroke news thing, but you don't get really the assessment. And, you know, that's part of the problem. Yeah. And we'll let you go, and I appreciate the call. But that is...
Thank you.
That is part of the...
Left is best.
Thanks. Left is best. That is part of the dilemma of, you know, doing the show on a daily basis. There's a... In addition to sort of the... I don't know, ×2 amount of news, ×3 really, and making those assessments. Simultaneously, we are in an era where there's a lot less reporting going on. Like, you know, we're not reporters. Yeah. We don't have the time or the resources for that. We're news aggregators, and we're, you know, that's the best way that I could sort of express that. And we, you know, our editorial decisions are really more, what are we going to highlight in any given point? There's less reporting going on out there. The areas in which this reporting are narrow, right? Like, there isn't a reporter out there whose only beat is to assess student loan repayments. There aren't that many reporters out there whose beat is like, oh, I cover USAID. I cover this agency. I cover that agency. It just doesn't happen in the way that it used to. And, you know, we're trying to figure out, like, do we need trade magazines? You know, that Politico Pro costs like whatever it is, $10,000 a month or something like that. So, I mean, this is all part of it. But I don't say this to. This is not a complaint. It's a just, I don't know.
It's just maybe a point the of reality. Interest. Yeah.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.